Hey, is this all right?
Yeah, we're good. We're basically live now, I believe. I'm hoping. So thank you everyone for joining us. Happy Global Accessibility Awareness Day. I know there's a lot of events going on today, so I appreciate you taking the time to join us. It's our first multi-stream live that we're doing, so we're doing our best to make things as smooth as possible, make them as accessible as possible. So we have live captions on the screen. It should be visible to everyone. We're also going to do our best to announce ourselves before speaking. And if anyone's experiencing difficulty, you can message me on LinkedIn. You can put a comment in the chat. I'm going to do my best to resolve problems on the fly. I'm Noah. I'm one of the founders of EasySurf, and we are jointly hosting this event with Games Accessibility Hub. Olivier is one of the founders, and he's joining us as one of our panel members. Olivier, did you want to say hi?
Oh, hi everyone! Really happy to do this with my friends at EasySurf, and really happy to welcome Eric. This game we talk about today.
Awesome. And we've also got Chad and Tamara. Chad, did you want to say hi?
Yeah. Hello, I'm Chad Michael Boughton. I'm a blind accessibility consultant. I host the Unsighted Radio, which is an accessibility podcast, and you can find it anywhere you get podcasts. And then I own the small business Unsighted LLC, where I travel around the United States putting on breakout sessions with organizations and companies that want to just take a look at what blind accessibility in video games look like and a lot of the settings and available features that are, currently available, and just help, bring a sense of community and help encourage independent play for people who are blind.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Tamara, what about you?
Yeah, hi, I'm Tamara. I'm delighted. Happy GAAD, everybody. I am here today as a co-founder of EasySurf and as another blind accessibility tester. I wear a lot of hats at EasySurf, but in this particular game, I did some testing and I'm very excited to chat about it.
Awesome. And our guest of honor, Eric, also goes by Eric Baum. Eric, you are many things, notably a game developer, one of the hosts of the Games for Blind Gamers Jam. I'll just turn it over to you to introduce yourself, your background. Would also love for the audience to know a bit more about Necromancer Nonsense, the game that we're going to be talking a little bit about today. So I know that's a lot, but yeah, I'll throw it over to you.
Yeah, of course. Like I said, my name is Eric, and yeah, I am currently these last 2 years I got to be the host of an event called the Games for Blind Gamers Game Jam, which is just developers doing our best to make blind accessible games in a month, and we have a wonderful community of blind gamers and playtesters and whatnot that will come in and playtest and help and get us moving in the right direction, because it was kind of started as the original host. Kind of the dream was like, hey, we need a place where sighted devs talk to blind gamers more because it doesn't happen enough. That was kind of the start, but we also very much try and make sure that blind developers have a place too, because it's more their space than anyone else's. But yeah, that's kind of the dream and the hope. And yes, I've been the host these last 2 years. We just finished our 5th iteration a few months ago. It was super fun, exciting, and yes, this game is one I actually made for our 4th jam. So last year's entry, I really kept meaning to work on it, but I got caught in another accessibility project, and so I was like, oh, this year I'm definitely going to work on it once Game Jam 5 stuff is done. And then around that time, Chad posted in our Discord, hey, everyone should submit their game to this GAAD thing. See, Chad, I was like, you know what? May as well. So that's kind of the long and short of a very long story.
Oh, well, I really appreciate you doing that. As part of, so as Eric mentioned, as part of the Global Accessibility Awareness Day event, Tamara, Chad, and Olivier all played Eric's game, tested it, provided feedback. We shared highlights from that feedback in a report that's available, and I'm just going to throw it into this chat, and we'll see if it works. If anyone wants to take a look at it, we tried to be quite brief and just focus on certain bits of feedback, and we're going to try and have a bit of a back and forth discussion about the game itself and blind accessible gaming more generally. And I'm also quite interested in what you're doing with blind developers. I think that's a really interesting area to chat about. And I want to say, if anyone is in the audience and wants to ask Eric or anyone on the panel a question, just put it in the chat. Everything should be aggregated on the screen and hopefully on whatever platform you're in, but we're able to see it, we're able to answer it. And yes, I'm going to turn it over to Chad just to start us off with any question you had for Eric. Maybe we could start more specifically on the game, but yeah, really any type of question you have just to kick off the discussion here.
Well, thank you. Making me be the starter, the opener. Eric, glad to talk to you again. Hope you're doing well. I guess the first question I'll ask is about the tutorials, because I had a very fun interaction with Noah when we were testing the game. We had been testing it for a while, and then of course Noah's like, oh, okay, well, let's wrap up here. I'm like, you want me to play the game? And he's like, were we not playing the game? Like, these are the tutorials. He's like, oh, really? I'm like, oh, yeah, like the tutorials are like their own individual kind of game to teach you individual mechanics of the game. And then he's like, oh, okay, well, try playing the game. So I want to ask you, like, who helped you create these tutorials? Because I really like the way they function. It reminds me a lot of like how Sea of Thieves has their safe seeds mode versus the high seed. And with the safe seed mode, you're able to basically kind of familiarize yourself with all of the mechanics, the gameplay, in an environment where you're not punished. So then it allows you to take all that information with you when you go into the actual PvP mode. And this is something very similar, and I like it. And I wish we could see a lot more of it, because I think it's a great way of onboarding players, especially players who are disabled, into a game and learn how to play the game before they even actually start the actual game.
You're not slick. I know you know the answer if you help me with it, but I'm happy to talk about it again. So yeah, the initial thing was my favorite tutorial of all time in a strategy game is from Age of Empires 2, where you basically play a little campaign of William Wallace, and it takes you from, oh, how do you move units, all the way through how to destroy a castle. And that's kind of the final thing, is you destroy an English castle, you finish the tutorial. But the entire time you felt like you were playing the game. So I went in with that mindset. The first few versions, though, I was just cramming way too much into each tutorial. And that's why I was very lucky. I had 2 teammates that were just testers that joined my project halfway through. And the biggest one, who was very much advocated for, like, hey, break these up just a little bit and they'll be perfect. Hey, make this change, flip this a little bit here, a little bit there, was actually, she was the co-host of this year. Goes by Patricia from our Discord. And yeah, we call her the tutorial queen, because her big thing is she just goes around helping people fix their tutorials, because a good tutorial makes or breaks a game. We've noticed, like, it just does, right? Because it's, if you get overwhelmed in the first 5 minutes, or if you feel like the tutorial is too long, like we've had wonderful games where it's like, oh, it feels like we have to read a 5-page paper before we can even, get through the door. And it's like, really great game, really technical, just hard to get into. So yeah, she very much pushed for like breaking it up even more than I thought, because I'm like, oh, I can like just like Age of Empires. Important thing about Age of Empires is it had a good tutorial manager, so it actually could give you sub quests in each mission, whereas Game Jam, I didn't do that. So, but break it up, it felt so much better once it was broken up, and I got nothing but good feedback on that. So I'm very glad it did that, because again, good tutorials make or break accessibility sometimes, where it's like you can have perfect accessibility in theory, but in practice, no one knows how to use it, right? So that's kind of where that came from.
I'm a big fan of Age of Empires, so I love the reference there. Tamara, what would you like to ask?
Well, I mean, it's a delight chatting with you again, Eric,
Yes.
after last year. So I wanted to ask, for those that are joining fresh, that don't know anything about the Game Jam, can you tell us a little bit about that process and how it all works, how it all fits together?
Absolutely, yes. So the way it is we just declare, we just say, hey, this month we're going to be doing our Game Jam. Usually it'll be early in the year. And then it'll be a month long. It'll just be a month long of hey, everyone, work on your game, and then afterwards we're all going to play them and give each other feedback and all of that stuff. So and the goal is to just just start from scratch, or not completely scratch, because we want you to use any tooling you have, anything like that. But start a new game project. You can use stuff you've already made in the past and available assets and all that. But yes, and just see what you can make that's blind accessible in a month.
I think that part is the part that is most incredible to me, is that you have all of these different developers and you're actually creating something playable in less than a month in extremely small teams, like ones and twos. And you have a playable game at the end of 1 month as single developers or pairs of developers. That's the part that just blew my mind last year when I started playing some of the games that you put out. It's really impressive.
Oh no, sorry.
Oh no, so please go ahead.
Oh, so yes, we have we've just gotten wonderful people, and also the biggest thing is I always like to remind people is like, there is I'm trying to think of how to describe it. Like, I think it's a really fun, also just a great showcase of the difference having playtesters on your team make, because our highest rated games, well, with one exception, our highest rated games always have blind team members on them as like playtesters or volunteer consultants for the month. And like that's kind of been the trend the last 2 years of like, oh, well, yes, with a few funny notable exceptions that kind of proves the rule to me, because this year one of our highest rated games was Impulse Response. Wonderful game, beautiful game, like just so atmospheric, so gorgeous, so beautiful and unbelievable quality for an audio game. I don't think any of them slept because they got that done in a month. None of them slept. But and there was, the developer was blind themselves. So it's like, of course. Like again, first rule. And the other one exception of gets high rate games but doesn't always have a blind teammate on their team is Shift Backtick. Exception proves the rule sometimes. So
yeah.
They are the
universal champion.
Yeah, universal accessibility champion. Also, huge community member, big inspiration, source of feedback for us. But yeah, I know they get playtesters, but I know they work solo. But they've been doing this so very, very long. They kind of know the tricks a little bit better than the rest of us. So, but yeah, and so then we do the month-long development period, and then we have a 2-week rating period where people can still update their games, where we have people rate and play games, post feedback. People do streams, etc., etc., etc. And then at the end, we have 2 winners. Because we allow rating, so we have a general public rating where people can vote on things and they just vote. And just, whoever got the highest score wins. And then our second winner is, we specifically have a voting from blind community members who volunteered to be judges, just because we want to make sure that, like, if someone does something really, really special with blind accessibility that maybe isn't as resonating with, sighted developers, I really want to make sure that gets highlighted, and that like we can have a great example of like, hey guys, this is really special to blind community, even if maybe it's not the most like beautiful to sight developers, which so far it's always been like first and second, if that makes sense, where it's first in one category, first in overall gets second in the blind judges category, and then first in blind judges category will get second overall. So it's always been very close, but it is always nice to be like, hey, it's, yeah. So I just really like that I'm always a big advocate for like, hey, we say it's games for blind gamers. We got to make sure I'm sure as heck going to highlight blind gamers' opinions, right? It's in the name. So yeah, that's kind of the trend though. And we've had, this is our 5th year. We are now averaging between 30 and 40, 30 to 35 each year. And it's been super cool. And yeah, my game was just one from last year that I was really proud of and wanted to work on more. So submitted for this.
Loved it. It was so much fun to play. So can you tell us a little bit about the development process for that and how this game came to be the iteration that we ended up playing?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So my first thought was, I've been playing a lot of Age of Empires. I love Age of Empires. I still play tournaments at Age of Empires 2. Age of Empires 2 has my heart as one of my favorite games, even when I'm not actively playing it, because it's a little in depth and a little intense. And I like when I was thinking about game I wanted to make, I was just like, I miss those like strategy games from when I was little that were like flash games where it's, oh, you just played it for 2 hours and you were done. Those don't really get made anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They're always like, oh, the tutorial is 2 hours. Like,
Yes.
or if you're lucky, some like I tried playing one recently, I'm like, oh, this game looks fun. And I'm just like, I feel like I'm reading a textbook just to get through the strategy game, and it's those, and it's just just the way it works, right? They want to be able to sell things, they want to be able to sell DLCs, or like so they make it more and more complex. I'm just like, it's I just kind of, or they like became hyper casual, and so now it's like all about grinding and like microtransaction stuff. So I'm like, okay, I want to make this, and I want to make it accessible, like because accessibility is just what you should aim for whenever possible, right? That's just a whole different. But yeah, so I'm like, okay, I want to make this type of game for Jam, and I was like, I want to make this. I miss these like short, casual, fun RTSs that are just you jump in, they're snappy. There's not a million hotkeys. There's not a million like you just go, right? It's not, you don't feel like you have to memorize hotkeys just to be able to play. And I'm like, okay, how can I do this? And then I started, there wasn't really any other blind accessible RTSs quite like this. RTSs, I mean, RTS in general are pretty rare in blind accessibility because it is neat. It is more niche in the first place, real-time strategy games, and of course, it is a little bit harder, I will admit, than some genres to convert to blind accessibility, but definitely fun and definitely can work if you think it through. But I did look at so I stole a bit from Age of Empires 2's like tutorial system, but then I knew that with mods, another game called Crusader Kings is blind accessible with the help of mods. And so I stole or I took inspiration from that. So it's like, oh, I was like, yeah, I took inspiration different. I kind of looked at that and was like, oh, they have these. I was like, oh, they have these beautiful like sectors where you send things from. Of course, that game is notorious for needing 20 hours of tutorials. So I very specifically was very careful with what I took inspiration from. But they also had a log where it's like, oh, if you miss something, you can always go back and look in your log. Oh, they have these sectors. They have these wonderful sectors where they do different things. It's like, okay, I was like, oh, that works. Actually, translates really well to this like casual RTS game from my childhood, where it was like, I remember it was like, oh, you would like one popular one was like, oh, your little cells, and you send little viruses out to attack each other, like that sort of style. And it's just you capture. Oh, some cells are special, And so it's like, oh, that actually converts really well. And then so yeah, I started with that, and I was like, okay, so I'm like, okay, I think if I do like a grid, and I do this log, I think that's going to be really good. I think that'll work really well. And I was like, okay, and this was kind of brainstorming before the jam even started. And then so I kind of had my genre, I had my core gameplay loop, and I had how I knew I want to try and make accessible, because Godot actually had I think it wasn't even fully released yet. I think they were still in beta for their Access Kit integration. And I'm like, I really want to try out Godot's Access Kit integration, which had just been made at the time, like brand spanking new, still very much in development. And yeah, so I was like, okay, I know my core gameplay loop. I know how I plan to make it accessible, which is using the Access Kit integration. And I think I see kind of, the path I want to take. And then at that point, I just kind of ran around looking for themes. And I wasn't sure on the theme until I found the artist Perry Tunes. They release free music, free for any use. Wonderful artist. And I heard their music and went, great, we're necromancers now. I love this song. Great, we're necromancers, cool, done. That was that. And that's kind of how it started. And then I found a wonderful voice actor who you hear throughout the game. They are the vampire. I just posted in the Discord, hey, I'm looking for a team if anyone wants to join. So some people joined and had to leave for personal reasons, but in the end, it ended up being I had the voice actor, and then I had 2 people join kind of halfway through the jam, which was Patricia, who helped a bunch with tutorials and stuff, as they're actually a web UI, they're a web accessibility consultant. So their experience is a little bit different, but they still made some massive differences. I don't want anyone to ever have to play the version that was before that. And then also I was very lucky. A community member named Nuno, who is blind, who is a blind developer themselves, they joined as a playtester, and it was kind of like, and again, you say like, oh, it's so cool, it was playable in a month. That's the power of iteration and very patient playtesters who are like, yep, can't play, try again. It's like, uh-oh, sorry. Like, unfortunately, I am sighted, so it's like, I'm like, oh, this looks playable. Like, did you forget this? I'm like, I sure did, sorry. One of those, like, but that's why they say test early, test often, iteration, right? Or
yes.
Like
Blueberry muffin.
I had this because I had like the underlying system like already planned out of like, okay, I'm gonna follow these rules to always make sure I don't break access kit. Like when things break, it wasn't that big a deal to fix, right? Whereas if I try to add it on top of it, I tried that once for Jam. Don't do it. Doesn't work. Oh, hello, Patricia. But
I will say the music is so catchy. It was kind of stuck in my head for the rest of the day when I watched them. And yeah, Patricia has been so supportive. I see you in the chat. I see a couple comments. I got to call them out now that I'm a live streamer. So someone says, "Wow, so cool." Kavanaugh, good to see you as well. Just asking if I can paste the link in the LinkedIn chat, and I did so. Olivier, anything you want to chat with Eric about?
Yes, obviously, Eric, you managed to make a game that is playable by people like Tamara, like Chad, and many others. And what would we say was the biggest challenge as a developer to make this kind of game that works for people who are blind?
So yeah, probably the biggest thing was I had to figure out how I wanted to handle streams of information, right? Because when I'm playing like Age of Empires 2, there are 15 things at least on the screen at any given moment. You're constantly blasting information. You have this resource count, so many things, right? So it's like, okay, what are my streams? You have a mini map that will flash when like buildings are under attack. I was like, okay, that's like 30 streams of information. Will just become sound soup, right? So yeah, just trying to figure out like how to handle my streams of information. And the 3 I kind of settled on that I hope are pretty obvious are I have the text that your screen reader can pick up, and I don't touch your screen reader. I was careful. It's like the focus only moves when you press a button. Like it doesn't. I think the one exception. I think I actually want to change that one exception though. Is like when a level ends, your focus breaks without you pressing a button. But I think I might want to change that. But yeah, I'm very careful. I'm like that. I don't like it when like pop-ups block what I'm reading, and so to me, I don't like when that happens. So I assume people don't like when your focus gets yanked away in places you don't tell it to go.
Yeah,
so like, okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm like,
very true.
I always try and
very true.
Yeah, I always just go screen readers reading. If I don't like it reading it, I assume screen reader users won't like it happening. I don't like pop-ups blocking what I'm reading. I assume you don't like when focus moves, right? So that's my one stream of information. So it's like, okay, anything that is picked up, that's one stream. And the second stream is the local, like you'll hear like sound effects as you move around the game map, right? You'll hear the zombies, you'll hear creatures, you'll hear like your units, the undead dying around you. If there's fighting, you'll hear as things get hit the building, stuff like that, right? That's kind of my second stream. Is like, okay, local sound effects, secondary stream. And then the third stream is the global narrator. And just like figuring out what deserves to be in stream and what's not is so hard. And I don't think I have it quite perfect yet. I don't know if I ever will. Because yeah, just like, okay, because it's the more stuff you put in stream, the less valuable it is. So yeah, that's just probably the biggest part to me is just like when you're trying to do something, trying to give a quick overview of something, it's really hard, which I think is probably why I did end up probably over relying on the ability to go check the event log if you miss something, because it's like I'm still trying to figure out how how to convey so much going on with 3 streams of information when I don't want to clog up any of them, right? I just don't want to clog up any of them. But that's probably the biggest part.
So basically, having real time is probably the biggest challenge you had to face, and trying to make that compatible with the way vocal output works and how people consume this kind of information compared to visual.
100%, right? Because I can't just have because it's it's the because you can just have so much information just sitting there for sighted people where they can just glance and look at it and it's just always on screen.
Right.
But like that's just not how it works. Accessibility wise, right? You can't just do that. Like it's like, oh, you could just add 15 hotkeys and be like, oh yeah, if you want this, you press this one. If you want this, you press this one. I don't like that. I don't like learning. I don't like when to. I don't mind if you want to get good at a game needing to learn hotkeys. That's fine. But just to function a game learning hotkeys, not a fan. Not for me. So was very mindful to be like, no, I don't want there to have to be 20 commands you have to learn. Be like, oh, if you want to know how many of this are around, press this. If you want to know how many of this are around, press this. Did not want to do that. So yeah, but yeah, very much just how do I convey like a map? So yeah, just biggest problem was just how do I convert an entire map worth of things going on into audio was just it's hard. And then so I'm like, well, that kind of does explain why there's not many of these games, but I think it came out pretty good.
Oh, I'm playing it still. Yeah, I want more, please.
Well, that's the plan this year, and the feedback you guys gave me is such a good start because it was like, oh, where do I even start? And I'm like, oh, I now have this beautiful list of things to start on, and a lot of it's pretty, and honestly, like a lot of it's I think I should be able to do pretty easy, but I do have a question mark around how did Chad soft lock the event list?
I'll
have to figure that out.
I don't know, Eric. We've worked with each other for a while now, and if there's one thing you've probably figured out is that there's things that I do which are just beyond understanding. Like when I was helping you with the tutorial for the navigation assistant that you're trying to make in Godot for farm simulation games.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, I have just an uncanny ability to be like, oh, hey, this isn't working. And then everyone's like, it is working. And then I'm like, oh, okay, maybe it's just me. And it is. It's usually just me.
Yeah, but I still contest. That's a great ability for a playtester because I want you to have that experience. Well, I don't want anyone to have experience, but if someone's going to, I'd rather be you who's communicating with me than, a player who has never played that game before, picks it up, goes, oh, this feels awful weird, puts it down. Whereas you went, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel like how it should be working. This doesn't feel like what Eric makes. Let me communicate. Let me figure this out, right? Like, if someone has to, I'd much rather be a playtester. So I mean, it's good to have that you just try to break my games in halves, but
not just specifically Chad, any playtester.
For full disclosure, what happened was I literally pressed the control key and like locked myself into auto navigation. So I'm sitting there the entire time like, why can I not move what I'm like wanting to walk towards? And I'm like, telling Eric all this, and I'm just like, what's wrong? Like, why is this so bad? And he's like, can you do one thing for me before I completely make an entire new build of this tutorial tool? Can you press the control key? And I'm like, okay. And then I send him a voicemail where I'm just laughing hysterically, like, I'm so stupid.
Important lesson though of important lesson I should have known better on though. I literally had the thought of if you have navigation assistance on or any accessibility thing like that like makes inputs get ignored, probably should have some notification whenever an input gets ignored. So, which is funny enough, one of the big semi-related to one of the bigger feedbacks I got, which I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense, is just I need to make sure to add more feedback on like button clicks, right? Where it's just like, oh yeah, I guess like if you hit the bottom of the list, you're like, okay, to hit the bottom of the list, am I stuck? What's going on? Oh, did I actually like are units actually going now that I click the button, or are there no units? Like just stuff like that. I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. And I was thinking about, I'm like, oh, that's gonna make it feel so much better because I sometimes forget like just because I do just because I got you to where you can do the thing, and just because the thing gets done accessibly doesn't mean I shouldn't report back like, yep, thing done. Like that's still very important to report back, right? So
yeah, accessibility is very much a journey, not a destination, but it's got incredible bones. Like I have never played a game like this that has been accessible. So it's truly a testament that you built it in a month and got it to where it is, and playable, because it's incredible.
thank you so much. Yeah, I'm excited to work on it this year. So again, that's just like when Chad posted on Discord, I was like, you know what? I was telling everyone like, hey guys, you should play, you should play. I was like, well, I'm telling everyone else to, but I guess I better too. Like I'm like, well, it'd be kind of hypocritical for me, like, oh yeah, there's nothing to lose, you should just do it, and then not do it. So I was like, I'll submit. Yeah, no, necromancer nonsense. It's like as I was testing it and I start playing level, I'm just like, oh, I love how snappy this game is. Where you just jump in, you start going, you start bouncing to the music. I'm like, I need to, yeah. And then I was, yeah. So yes, no, I'm just glad that you guys liked it so much, and yeah, I'm so excited to keep working on it now that I have such a great place to start. Because I'm like, because it's always the hard part where it's like, okay, I don't want to make more content until I fix some of this like weirdness. But I'm like, figuring out like all the weird, trying to decide what is weirdness, what just feels weird, is always hard. But it's like, oh, I have this beautiful list. I already went through and organized everything. So
that's awesome.
Well, I don't want to put you on the spot too much, Eric, but if you did you have any questions that you want to ask either Chad or Tamara or Olivier about their experience playing the game, or was there any part of the feedback that was unclear that you want more detail around?
Let me pull up. Oh yeah, actually, yeah, there was. I did have one that was related to my 3-channel system, because there was feedback on the narrator being too slow. Valid, right? That's just valid.
Yeah, sorry, that was me.
I mean, I don't think it was just you. I'm pretty sure it was not just you. I can go look again, but I'm like,
Yeah, I had to agree with that too.
yeah. And it's just hard because I'm like, yeah, like, and it was feedback I even got during the chamber. I'm like, I don't quite know what to do with this because I don't. So I was wondering, yeah, if you guys had any thoughts on that, because like I said, the main thing is like, I don't want to overflow the channels.
Yeah.
And I also don't want to be like, oh, there's like, there's short like beep code you have to like memorize. But I also don't want to interfere with screen reader, right? Like it's like, oh, if you're listening to something, I'm not going to interrupt your screen reader. I don't use any because if I interrupt your screen reader, you'd never be able to get anything done, right? You'd be like, oh, what building is this? Oh, got an alert about attack. Oh, got an alert about attack. Let me try again. Oh, got an alert about attack.
Yeah.
Or my other worry was like, oh, if an important alert tries to pop up right as you click a button to move buildings, you just squash the squash. I don't know.
Yeah.
You just
can I ask a question based off of his question? I know that sounds weird.
Go for it.
But I would like to ask both Tamara and Olivier, like in terms of the screen reader being too slow, is that in regards to navigating the UI, or you just felt in terms of receiving information it was slow?
Yeah.
It wasn't the screen reader, it was the narration. I felt a little bit slow. So honestly, if it was the exact same narrator saying the same thing in the creepy voice, just a little bit less, just maybe at a little bit more of a normal.
Okay, just a tiny bit
faster.
faster.
The wrong. Yeah, it's just a little bit faster would be it.
Okay, you think it's simple as just needs a little bit more urgency to him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That makes sense.
This has fallen, or the have that intensity, because the game is based around that tower defense style.
Very
It
bouncy,
does have,
yeah.
Yeah,
I like this idea as bouncy.
Yeah, it would be nice to keep the current voice because it's really, really creepy and really cool.
Sarcastic, I love the sarcasm.
Yeah, and if you're into the game and you're really struggling with beating it, and sometimes you have the feeling that the feedback is too slow because you can hear things like B2 attacked, B2 taken, and it's slow and it's cool, but game-wise it's a bit holding you back sometimes. And maybe if you can have this option to have maybe twice the speed, you can keep the basic speed and have an option for twice the speed maybe. I think it's something that could be manageable for players.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And I did actually, before I even started, like, got your feedback back, I was like, I messaged the voice actor and was like, hey, I'm planning on working on the game more in the next few months. Would you be up for like doing AV recordings or making new stuff? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. It was so fun working. I'm like, cool. So yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, honestly, probably like, I do like the idea of course, just options because I love options, obviously.
Yeah.
Even though it sounds like the one option section caused more problems than it solved with the ability to reorder your inspector, that probably caused more problems than it solved. But I need to do that, so I have notes on that from everyone. But yeah, so no, I like the idea of just like if you want to just go zoomy, right? Like let it just go.
Yeah.
Like have there just be a zoom option. And I mean, I'm trying to think like if I really want to, I could even have there be like a super fast option of like, oh, this will call like enable this option to call tongue tied, to use, like just a pre-recorded screen reader voice, right? Like some very tiny screen reader where it's like, I just want speed. I don't care about your silly atmosphere. I just want speed. Because options are always helpful, right? But
some
the
users
really like you, so.
And I was just going to say, some users might be more familiar with screen readers and narration, so they pick up on it easier. The faster for them. They can compute it in real time, and otherwise people are looking at them like, how do you even know what that's saying?
Right.
While for others, maybe they're not as experienced with using screen readers or listening to narration, so for them it's probably maybe a newer skill. So that way you kind of play to everybody's experience with using screen readers and narration. And I do find it funny how, like, instead of a feature which becomes very popular in games is to slow down the game speed, we're now also talking about, hey, let's increase the game speed. Let's but yeah, that way, like, it just kind of allows for everybody. It doesn't matter how long you've been using these settings, whether it's like, oh, I just started using it or I've been using it for 10 plus years. You're able to get it to a level or more of a comfortability for you as the player.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because my other thing with having it being a little bit slower too was it's hard, right? Because I also wanted to be like, oh, if you're in the middle of listening to something and an event pops and he starts talking, I don't want it to be like, oh, I didn't want it to be like too like overwhelming of like, oh, there's these two very fast. I want to be like, oh, like you have enough time to stop if you care about that event, you have enough time to stop your screen reader and listen, or even maybe finish it if you have your screen reader on so fast Eric can't understand it. You'll probably finish what you're listening to before the first word is done of the narrator, right? So that's that's also my other idea. So it's okay, but no, I do like the idea of, I guess I didn't really consider just like, oh yeah, just make an option, right? And it's of course speeding up audio is kind of hard, but I mean, I can definitely, but I do like the idea of like some stuff probably can just be recorded like a little bit more urgency.
Yeah, I
definitely would fit anyways, right?
More emphasis on certain words.
Yeah.
Right.
Urgency.
And to me, like, I wouldn't want to lose the creepy narrator. I think that really adds to the game. Even as somebody who listens to screen readers at 100% most of the time, I like the creepy narrator. It adds to the ambiance. It adds to the immersion. So if he just spoke with a little more urgency, that would be more than enough for me to play, even with my screen reader on, because I might almost get confused unless I have very different screen reader voices, because that's what I liked, is my screen reader sounds like one thing and that deep, creepy voice sounded very different. It was easy to distinguish the two. Absolutely. And even two robot voices, when you're moving at high speeds, that's easy to start confusing.
Yeah, no, I'm imagining, and I could even do, instead of urgent, just him sounding more annoyed, like, very. I love the character of him being your vampire assistant, who clearly wants you to die already. Clearly, right? He just wants you to go away. He clearly wants you to fail, but. So yeah, no, that makes perfect sense, right? Because it's just, you don't want to be held back because the information, or feel like you have to pause or slow down the game every single time. So. But no, yeah, that's really good feedback. But yeah, so okay, so yeah, so but I'm glad you mentioned those. So you do like the kind of approach of like the 3 separate streams of information that does feel like it works for you?
Yes, absolutely. And I know what you're saying about like we want the creepy sound effects and we want the skeletons. We don't want too many sound effects. But I also know from playing a variety of games, like it would be really, really cool, even if, it's going to take too long to narrate something is happening, like a crumbling rock sound, or you can have an audio clip in the tutorial or in the instructions. If you hear this sound, this means that this, and you can have a voice narration with it, but the audio cue immediately tells you, hey, oh, wait, oh, that crumbling sound means 10%, and then it's going to get taken over. And then it's going to be taken over by the time we narrate it. We could have both of those things play at the same time. So you have that audio warning with the text feedback layered. So those 2 streams are kind of playing parallel to give you that information faster, where it doesn't create that extra cognitive load.
That makes sense. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I think I tried to do something like that, but didn't work. I think it was because I was doing it as it happened. But I like the idea of like, I think having the thing play before, because I think when I didn't like it when I was like, oh, this is too noisy. Where it's like, oh, the crumbling happens as the narrator starts speaking, a little too much, right? Where it's like,
yeah.
Whereas if it happens right before the building, where it's like, oh, your building's in danger, you hear this like crumbling, you hear this like alarm, something, and then the narrator starts speaking. It's like, oh, they're separated, and you actually got information sooner. It's like, oh, I like that.
Right, and it's kind of similar to, I don't know if you want examples, but when I play Minecraft with the blind access mod, if I'm underwater for a long time and I get to that kind of danger point of 10% air, it plays this loud, shocking sound effect before I take damage. So like that's the best example I can give of kind of combining that audio feedback with just before the result happens.
Yeah, and your game already does. So, all your games. The one thing that I've always told you about, Eric, because I remember when I played Revenge of the Werebear, which I think you made for another game jam. I was the one thing.
Thank you.
Yeah. It was. I mentioned how I love the sound library that you always have in your games, because you 100%. Can go in and learn what every sound in the game means. And then I also loved how, you have the tutorials. So you can go to the sound library, listen to each sound, be told through text what that sound means, and then, I'm going to go into the tutorial or like the training mode, and then in real time, put that into practice. So you already do such a great job with helping people, especially those who are blind, understand what those sounds are going to mean while they're playing the game. But I think it's kind of a cool idea for what Tamara is saying, is to kind of have also like maybe a multi-layer approach, because I always I myself think sometimes like we need to approach, like for instance, navigation assistance. I like a multi-layered approach. I like haptic, audio cue, and visuals all at once. And so I think multi-layered, multi-sensory approaches can do a lot and help relay and convey to players a lot of information at the same time.
100%. I 100% agree. And if you have that multimodal approach, then it doesn't, well, I know this is very specific to, you wanted to make it blind accessible. Well, if we have the visuals combined with haptics combined with, well, then we're not excluding deaf players. Then we're not excluding other types of disabilities that would benefit from that multisensory feedback.
Oh yeah, I would love. There's a place I'm missing some. There's some place I'm missing subtitles. I'm surprised I didn't get called out for that, but I know you guys were mostly focusing on the blind accessibility part.
Couldn't see the subtitles.
What? Really? They were missing?
Yeah. Oh no.
Right? Well, not you two. I didn't think you two called me out. I've met you two before, so I do. But which was funny, where they're like, "Oh yeah, our playtesters, Tamara and Chad." I'm like, "Hey, wait a second." But no, yeah.
You're either like, "Oh my god, I love them," or you're like, "Oh, not them too." I'm just joking.
Oh no, again.
It just made me laugh. I'm like, "Hey, wait a second." I would like, "Hey, wait a second." I just I don't know, it just made me laugh. I'm like, hey, I know for a fact those two have already played games from the jam before. I don't know. It's like, well, hope they weren't hoping for like brand like never before played games by the play testers. So because I know Chad played it. I know you played some of them from last year. I know Chad definitely played Necromancer. So I was like, well,
yeah, I played a little bit of it, but like I hadn't actually like played the game. Like, you know, I
Yeah.
played
dug deep
around
into
with it. So,
Yeah.
you know, it was a whole other thing to actually be like, okay, I've actually got to play this now.
Yeah.
And you know, I experienced new things that I hadn't while just kind of playing around, you know, pun intended. But yeah, you know, but I mean, maybe I can ask just one last question because I'm curious. You've, of course, been participating in Games for Blind Gamers since the inaugural event, and you've submitted a game for each one. So Games for Blind Gamers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You've submitted a game for each one. What was it about Necromancer Nonsense that out of all the games you've made was the one like, I want to go back to this one and I want to finish it. I want to actually publish. This is the one out of all the games I've made, not just as a hobbyist, but now as a developer. This is the one that I really want to stamp my seal of approval on.
Yeah, there's a couple of things. So this was actually the first big project I made in Godot after their Access Kit integration. So I immediately fell in love with, and I'd only made one game in Godot, which is the Rise of the Propo pair. I had never made a game in Godot before. I'm like, you know what? I want to try out Godot. I'm going to make like a silly game for like a really short game jam that just, they had no clue I was coming with. Let's see, I don't even know where, was that? Yeah, that was a blind accessible jam. It was a much smaller one though. And I'm like, yay. So I joined there and submitted this cute little like top-down shootery thing. And I was like, oh, I really like developing Godot. And then I was like, oh, and now they just, they're now getting this Access Kit integration. So it started with, so I think it was just a combination of Access Kit and Godot. Oh, Godot felt so much better after the game I was using before. Oh my goodness. And even though Access Kit integration was brand new at the time, it was still so much better for accessibility than what I had been using before. So it's like, well, peace, right? Like I was immediately. So, and then I just love RTS games. And so I always tell people like, oh, try and make sure to make a game you're excited to make, right? Because it's I know it's hard. It's hard to resist, and I understand why some developers do it. I know sometimes they kind of lean towards easy to make blind accessible games instead of going, oh, I'm excited to make this game. I love this genre. How do I make it accessible? Which I understand, right? It's sometimes like I understand some developers get overwhelmed, be like, oh, I don't even know where I'd start to make this game blind accessible. Oh, I know I'll make this other game blind accessible. That's really easy to make blind accessible. But also, like, if it's not a genre you like, I would like if you need to, if you're like, oh, I only have an hour, I'm gonna make something cute just to, test it, show my support, make sure I learn the basics. That's fine. But like I always just try and encourage people, make sure to make a game you're excited to play for the jam, right? It sounds silly to say that, but I know some folks fall into that trap of just focusing too much on making it blind accessible, not making it a blind accessible game, but small side tangent rant. But yeah, so it's just, I loved RTSs, I loved working with Godot, and so I'm just like, and everyone was so supportive, and it was just fun, because it's like, a lot of time when you make a game, like, you're kind of sick of it by the time you finish. Because it's like, how many hundreds of times did I press play and press like 2 buttons? How many? I have no. How many countless times did I hear the necromance, the intro, right? How many countless times did I hear A1 threatened?
Yeah.
A3 fallen.
You hear it in your dreams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, right. So like as a developer, because it's I make a change, I press play. Okay, does that work? Okay, great. Nope. Okay, try again. Right? How many hundred times? And yeah, this was this game where it's like, I went through all that, and at the end I was still like, okay, but like this is still really fun to play. Like I'm not sick of listening to it. I'm not sick of the fun of the silliness. I'm not. Yeah, just so yeah, that was kind of it. Where it's just like, oh, like this is the game where it's like, oh, I'm not sick of it. Because a lot of times with other projects, it's like, okay, I finished it. I don't want to look at it for a few months because I'm kind of sick and tired of it. Because it's just way too much, right? But no, so yeah, that's just kind of simple answers. Just yeah, so very, very long-winded answer for I really enjoyed working with Godot. I really and it just came out so fun and enjoyable for me personally that I'm like, well, I want to finish it too, not just because everyone else is like the fact that people really enjoyed it does help, of course, from like, but also just it's the game I want to see more of. Like, because I talked about like, I could make, I kind of, I had like the mummies, and I'm like, oh yeah, I could like expand, to different factions. Like, I personally want to see that, right? Want to experience like, I want to see like what the different dead factions could be set up like, because like the base one, I very much went off like very like classic American horror stuff, skeletons, zombies, very classic. But I'm like, there's so many like myths and legends I could research and write lore for, and like, yeah, write lore for and fun monsters with cool abilities and interactions. So yeah, that was so just I'm working on it because it made me excited. That's the short answer, right?
I'm kind of curious on the game engine side. What is it about Godot that's done well? And also, I know you help other game developers who are blind, and what is the accessibility like of the engine itself?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So they've always for a long time had the ability just to send to SAPI as which is just the like, that's just the like baseline Windows narrator. The Windows narrator is fine in a pinch. The best way I can describe it though is it is like Notepad, right? It is 100%
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Because it quite literally is, right? It's the bare bones. Yes, you could technically read a book in Notepad. No one's stopping you.
Yeah. Doesn't mean you want to.
That's not your first choice.
Yeah, like you could write your paper in Notepad. No one's stopping you. But it's just not very feature rich. But it gets the job done, right? And it's I know it's the number one used thing to go install NVDA. You open up that, you use narrator to go install NVDA, and then you close it. Thank you for your service, narrator. Move on. So yeah,
correct.
It's so true.
Yeah, like that's fine. But so Godot can call that natively, and that's always fine, right? Like it's like, you know what? If it's the option is no accessibility or narrator, absolutely pick narrator, right? Absolutely. But the new version added access kit integration, which actually basically hijacks ARIA labels. ARIA labels, I don't know. How do I pronounce that word?
ARIA.
I usually say ARIA.
Yeah, ARIA, I don't know. ARIA labels, yes. So it basically builds an overlay of ARIA labels over top your game, like web. And the developers who like did most of the integration went through and like probably labeled all the control elements, so that way like, it shows up as grouping, it shows up as this, shows up as that. Can't automatically do everything for you, obviously. There's still, but like, they made it so any of an element that's considered a control node now has accessibility elements that screen readers can pick up. And it does have some downsides some people don't like, because we're using area labels like a screen reader or like a web page. We can't tell like, we can't always tell like, are you done listening or not? But I'm like, well, I can't tell when a sighted player is done reading, so whatever, not different to me. I know some developers were like, I want to know when the screen reader's done reading. I'm like, then ask them to click a button when they're done, like you would a sighted reader, right? So that's, maybe I go too far in the just treat it like it's the same as reading, because I'm just like, I hate when games auto scroll on me text, so I'm like, I'll just ask to have a button be pressed when you're done reading. But yeah, so that's so it basically is hijacked and is misusing ARIA labels to do it, and that's how it does the screen reader. That's how it makes screen reader integration work, and it's not perfect yet. There's still some problem stuff. It is very new, right? And they did the unfortunate task of adding accessibility on top of something inaccessible that's like a decade old. So still issues, still weirdness, but they're doing such a wonderful job. And like the creator of Access Kit is often answering questions I ask or other members of the community ask. And they went through and then there's like one contributor, Bruvg, I think I don't know how he wants his name pronounced. I just know it's like BRUVG. They're the Godot contributor who did most of the enormous task of integrating this because the Godot engine editor, the Godot editor is built of Godot nodes, of Godot control nodes. So because they made control nodes have accessibility tags, they automatically made it so that the editor would be accessible if someone went in and filled in all those tags, which Bruv did and probably took him forever. Thank you, Bruv. Because it's like that foundation of like a lot of what I do just doesn't work without that like beautiful foundation and bones of their work. And yeah, like you said, kind of building on that was I saw I have like a Discord called the Unseen Godot like project. That's kind of my personal name for where I'm just trying to help blind developers who want to use Godot to make their own games. That's kind of what you're mentioning, and it's and yeah, because they made this beautiful because they did this beautiful work of building this wonderful foundation of everything now has tags. What like the essential first step, right? Where it's like any feedback on blind accessibility has to start with, does screen reader actually work, right? But I was like, oh no, I don't feel like. I was worried not many people would use it yet in the editor because I'm like, well, there's no tutorials for blind developers. Like the UI wasn't built for them, didn't consider them. So I don't think, like, I just didn't think it would get used. I'm like, oh, I know, I can make some tutorials and then I can make some add-ons to make it easier to get around. So it's, I just started like hotkey add-ons because why would they add hotkeys in the engine when it's like, oh, just move your mouse 2 inches? For reasons unknown to me, that's 13 tabs. And then there's so it's just kind of started from that way. And yeah, that's kind of how I'm trying to help people. And then because the goal is just the goal I always tell is like I just want to onboard blind developers who are interested, right? Because it's like they'll do a much better job than I can ever do at writing tutorials and making add-ons that solve their specific problems. But I got to make sure. But I'm just trying to make sure it's accessible enough that they can do that stuff, right? Where it's like, again, that baseline is needed. Where it's like, if a developer jumps in and it feels garbage, they're not going to be like, oh, I want to make add-ons for this. Like, oh, it's just garbage. But it's like, oh, this part that has a little bit of add-ons on it is really good. So that means this other part that's garbage that Eric doesn't know how to fix can be really good too later. Well, that's a help at least. But yeah, again, very long story for the.
It's a beautiful thing, though,
Mm-hmm.
that collaboration between you and the blind community, helping each other to, bring more blind developers because they're out there. And of course, these engines, they've for a long time, been inaccessible. And, of course, I know I'm not probably the only blind person that's been told, like, well, how blind accessibility in games, like, why don't you make your own games? Like, just because I know how to play a game doesn't mean I know how to make a game. And even if I want to, a lot of the tools are inaccessible.
Yeah.
So it's just really nice to see that Godot and the people behind Godot are very receptive to, like, if there's something we can do and you've kind of experienced it and it doesn't work for you, please tell us and let's all work together because, that's ultimately how things are going to be made even more accessible. And then, of course, the more people that can use it, the better it's going to get. So in the long run, I think what you're doing with the Unseen Godot product is amazing, and it'll be very beneficial to the industry.
Oh, thank you. And yeah, so just kind of, and I'll be honest. So the reason I kind of first got inspired to even work on like making games accessible was because, I'd go on like Blue Sky or Mastodon. I avoid Twitter. Is I would post like, hey, you guys should join the jam. Will help you make your game accessible. It's it's a lot easier to think. And then I would get myself in trouble because someone would be like, oh, I'm really excited. I am blind myself. How do I get started? I'm like, I'm so sorry. I don't know. I lied. I'm a liar. I said it was so easy and like we'll get you started. I'm like, I don't know. And like so I went look, and the answer was like, oh yeah, so yes, you can go down, you can install Python and then use PyGaming to build your own engine, and then go down like this.
Oh my gosh.
Have fun, guys.
And then you can go do this, and then we've got to, and it's like, okay, here's how to build an audio processor.
Oh
And I'm like,
no.
this sounds awful. I don't like this. I'm like, I was when I was like 12, I downloaded Game Maker and had a game, quote unquote, like a thing that was running that had elements of an actual game in about 20 minutes. And that was 2 decades ago. Oh, I'm old. Right? Like that was 20 years ago. So I'm like, the fact that like in this day and age, I had to tell people like, yeah, you can go like if they ask like, oh, how do I make a game how do I do what you're saying, make a blind accessible game a month if I'm blind? I was like, I don't know. And so I of course I asked blind developers. So like, hey guys, what do you do? And the answer is they're all much better programmers than me because quite simply the skill floor required to be a game developer when you're blind was just incredibly high because again it's most of them had their own custom game engines that like was like this weird mishmash of like, oh, I have this thing from 20 years ago that is holding together this thing from 5 years ago, and then this thing I custom built is allowing me to work with this, and that's how I make my game. It's like, okay, so no one else can use it ever just because it's too fragile. It's too fragile, it's too custom made, which is fine. But it sucks that like that's the requirement, It's if people want to make their own custom game engine and want to do that because they want the experience and they want to do something no public game engine does, absolutely do that. But it's awful that that's the requirement. That's the barrier to entry is that. So it's and of course there are a few exceptions to making games, of course, right? Like there are definitely a few exceptions. There are like text-based engines. You can that yeah, of course there are exceptions, right? I don't want anyone to think there aren't exceptions where it's like, yeah, you can make a text-based game pretty easy while blind because it's it's in process, but like anything beyond that, like people are like, oh yeah, there was this thing someone's working on like 8 years ago, but they went under because they lost the source code. I'm like, what? So yeah, that was so it's kind of just where the inspiration came from was I felt like a liar because I said, oh yeah, you can jump in and make a blind accessible game a lot easier than you think. Come join the jam, make a game in a month, and people went, really, I'm blind, how do you do that? I went, I'm a liar, I'm sorry. So I have to do this to make me not a liar because I did not it's so dumb. I'm like, I literally was talking about blind gamers and I mostly just felt dumb. I'm going to be honest. So I felt so dumb. I was like, yep, I have to work on making engines accessible so I feel less dumb because boy, do I feel dumb.
Oh, it's incredible the work that you've done. Truly, truly incredible.
Thank you.
Well, we're basically out of time. I know that went by really fast. There are a few things I wish I could have asked Eric, but maybe we'll save it for another conversation. But I just want to say I appreciate everyone joining the call. I wanted to go around really quickly and just give everyone the chance to let people in the audience know where they can find them. Maybe starting with you, Eric.
Yes, my name is Eric. On the internet, you'll find me as Eric Baum because I picked that name when I was 12 and just never changed it, as you do. And yes, the best place to find me is the Games for Blind Gamers Discord, or the Unseen Godot Discord. You can just find our jam page pretty easily. Just on itch.io is where we host our jams, so you can find that. We also have a wiki hosted on Marazi. I hope I pronounced it right. I don't know if I paste that in, can you share that with people?
Yes, please do.
Yeah. I will just paste that in the chat if you can share that I post that private if you can share that with the streams. Yeah, so that is our wiki that has links to relevant things as well as like some basics, how to get started, like the Xbox accessibility guide and all of that. Just kind of get you started because it's very much a good starting point.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Chad, what about you?
Yeah, so I am on LinkedIn, Chad Bouton. Last name is Bouton. If you would like to listen into the podcast that I host, it's called The Unsighted Radio, spelled UNSY as in Yankee, TED. A little bit of a selfish plug, but I am doing a special series about games for blind gamers. And the first episode actually went up today on Global Accessibility Awareness Day, and episode 1 is with Eric Baum. So if you want to learn more about Eric, then go check it out. Podcast is available anywhere you get your podcast. So Google, Apple, Amazon, Spotify, it's there. Hope you guys will check it out and enjoy it. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm there because opportunities come to Twitter. I don't like being there, but gets me some good jobs. So Unsighted Parasite, capital UNSYTED, capital PARASY as Yankee TE. Happy to interact with you, but if you want to be on LinkedIn, find me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Tamara, what about you?
Well, you can find me for all of your digital and gaming accessibility needs at EasySurf. Or if you want to hang out with me on social media, I am on all of the platforms as Unsightly Opinions with an S.
Awesome. And Olivier?
Well, for me, it's easy. It's LinkedIn, Games Accessibility Hub page. It's where you can find me the easiest way, I guess.
Great. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for putting all those links there, Patricia. If anyone didn't get a chance to access them, let me know and we'll send them out. Appreciate everyone joining. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.